Hi, this is Chapter 8, Corporate Strategy. Our learning objectives here explain when and how business diversification can enhance shareholder value, describe how related diversification strategies can produce cross-business strategies, strategic fit capable of delivering competitive advantage. My teeth are loose. I don't have dentures. Identify the merits and risks of unrelated diversification strategies, and use the analytic tools for evaluating a firm's diversification strategy, and understand the four main corporate strategy options a diversified firm can employ to improve its performance. What does crafting a diversification strategy entail? Step 1. Picking new industries to enter and deciding on the means of entry. Step 2. Pursuing opportunities to leverage cross-business value, chain relationships, and strategic fit into competitive advantage. And lastly, initiating actions to boost the combined performance of the corporation's collection of businesses. When do you consider diversifying? A firm should consider diversifying when, number one, growth opportunities are limited as its principal markets reach their maturity and buyer demand is either stagnating or set to decline. Number two, changing industry conditions, new technologies, inroads being made by substitute products, fast shifting buyer preferences, or intensifying competition are undermining the firm's competitive position. Strategic diversification options, sticking closely with the existing business lineup and pursuing opportunities presented by these businesses. Broadening the current scope of diversification by entering additional industries. Retrenching to a narrower scope of diversification by divesting poorly performing businesses. And lastly, broadly restructuring the entire firm by divesting some businesses and acquiring others to put a whole new face on the firm's business lineup. How much diversification should there be? Deciding how wide-ranging diversification should be, diversify into closely related businesses or into totally unrelated businesses. Diversify present revenue and earnings base to a small or major extent. Move into one or two large new businesses or a greater number of smaller ones. 4. Acquire an existing company. 5. Start a new business from scratch. And number 6, form a joint venture with one or more firms to enter new businesses. Opportunities for diversifying. Strategic diversification possibilities. Expand into businesses whose technologies and products complement present business or businesses. Employ current resources and capabilities as valuable competitive assets in other businesses. Reduce overall internal costs by cross-business sharing or transfers of resources and capabilities. Extend a strong brand name to the products of other acquired businesses to help drive up sales and profits of those businesses. Figure 8.1 is related businesses provide opportunities to benefit from competitively valuable strategic fit. So the top line we have here is all of the business activities, supply chain, technology, operations, etc. But what the middle line has, it's different, is share or transfer valuable specialized resources and capabilities at one or more points along the value chains of businesses A and B. By building shareholder value, the ultimate justification for diversifying is testing whether diversification will add long-term value for shareholders. The industry attractiveness test, the cost of entry test, and the better off test. And we'll take a look at those. The 3 tests for building shareholder value through diversification. First one, the industry attractiveness test. Are the industry's profits and return on investment as good or better than present businesses? Second one, the cost of entry test. Is the cost of overcoming entry barriers so great as to cause delay or reduce the potential for profitability? And the last, the better off test. How much synergy, stronger overall performance will be gained by diversifying into the industry? Better performance through synergy. Evaluate the potential for synergy through diversification. Firm A purchases Firm B in another industry. A and B's profits are no greater than what each firm could have earned on its own. Then there's no synergy. Firm A purchases Firm C in another industry. A and C's profits are greater than what each firm could have earned on its own. In that sense, then you get synergy. In the first one, 1 plus 1 equals 2. And the second, 1 plus 1 equals 3, hence the synergy. Approaches to diversifying the business lineup. Diversifying new business, existing business acquisition, internal new venture, a startup, and joint venture. I had the great opportunity to become an intrapreneur, which basically is an entrepreneur within a company that you start up a new business. I worked for a computer company, and I kept seeing that we had all of these old computers, and customers were asking us what to do with them. So I started a recycling. We would recycle old computer equipment. But what we would do is we would wipe the hard drives and charge our customers for that, and then give them a certification that said that that data was taken care of. And we also had, at the time, the company called was Manchester Technologies. We had customers who were in the medical field, and with HIPAA rules and regulations, you had to make sure that you got rid of that data. So we would charge for that, certify the data, and then we would take the computers that we would pick up from them, and we would charge them for that. But we'd also dismantle them, and then we remove the valuable metals that were in there. There was silver, and there was gold. And I remember the first shipment of all of the memory, which is where much of the precious metals were. We took them to a smelter, and then the smelter melted it down, took out the impurities, and gave us basically lumps of gold. And the first lump of gold, I brought it to the boss, the owner of the company, and I put it on a piece of special wood, and had a plaque written that said, "Some people's trash are other people's gold." He really appreciated it, but we actually made quite a bit of money from that with the internal new venture startup. Diversification by acquisition of an existing business. The advantages. Well, it's already established, so quick entry into an industry, the barrier to entry is avoided, and access to complementary resources and capabilities. What are the disadvantages? A cost of acquisition, when to pay a premium for a successful firm or pay a bargain price for a struggling firm. Underestimating costs for integrating the acquired firm, and overestimating the acquisition's potential for added shareholder value. So, advantages and disadvantages for that. Entering a new line of business, though, through internal development, the advantages of new venture development, you avoid the pitfalls and uncertain costs of acquisition. It allows entry into a new or emerging industry where there are no available acquisition candidates. What are the disadvantages of corporate intrapreneurship? Must overcome industry barriers, requires an extensive investment in developing production capabilities and competitive capabilities, and may fail due to internal organizational resistance to change and innovation. When to engage in internal development? Well, there are factors that favor internal development: low resistance of incumbent firms to market entry, ample time to develop and launch the business, availability of in-house skills and resources, and the cost of acquisition is much higher than an internal entry. And added capacity does not adversely impact supply-demand balance within the industry. Using joint ventures to achieve diversification. Joint ventures are advantageous when diversification opportunities are too large, complex, uneconomical, or risky for one firm to pursue alone. It requires a broader message of competencies and know-how that a firm possesses or can develop quickly, and are located in a foreign country that requires local partner participation of ownership. So you don't have 100% ownership. That's a problem. Risk of diversification by joint venture. Joint ventures have the potential for developing serious drawbacks due to conflicting objectives and expectations of venture partners, disagreements among or between venture partners over how best to operate the venture, cultural clashes among and between the partners, and the dissolution of the venture when one of the venture partners decides to go their own way. Choosing a mode of market entry. We have a variety of choices. One is critical resources and capabilities. Does the firm have the resources and capabilities for internal development? What are the entry barriers? Are there strong entry barriers to overcome? How about speed to market? Is speed crucial to the firm's chances of a successful entry? And lastly, comparative costs. Which is the least costly move of entry given the firm's objectives? Choosing the diversification path. Related versus unrelated businesses. Which diversification path to pursue? A related business, an unrelated business, or both unrelated and related businesses? When we look at diversification into related businesses, strategic fit opportunities, transferring specialized expertise and technological know-how or other resources and capabilities from one business value chains to the other. Sharing costs by combining the related value chain activities of different businesses into a single operation. Exploiting common use of well-known brand name. Sharing other resources besides brands that support corresponding value chain activity across businesses. Engaging in cross-business collaboration and knowledge sharing to create a new competitively valuable resource and capabilities. Generalized resources and capabilities for pursuing related diversification can be deployed widely across a broad range of industry and businesses, and can be leveraged in both unrelated and related diversification situations. Specialized resources and capabilities have very specific applications which restrict their use to a narrow range of industry businesses and types, and can typically be leveraged only in related diversification situations. Identifying cross-business strategic fits along the value chain. Potential cross-business fits: sales and marketing activities, R&D technology activities, supply chain activities, manufacturing-related activities, distribution-related activities, and customer service activities. Strategic fit, economies of scope, and competitive advantage. Using economies of scope to convert strategic fit into competitive advantage can entail the following. 1, transferring specialized and generalized skills or knowledge. Combining related value chain activities to achieve lower costs. Leveraging brand names and other differentiation resources. And lastly, using cross-business collaboration and knowledge sharing. Economies of scope differ from economies of scale. In economies of scope, they are cost reductions that flow from cross-business resource sharing in the activities of the multiple businesses of the firm. In economies of scale, these accrue when variable costs go down due to the greater efficiency of operating a larger operation, a bigger plant, a larger distribution center, etc. In illustration, Capsule 8.1, examples of companies pursuing a related diversification strategy. Which of the three companies is pursuing a diversification strategy most focused on growth by acquisition, on growth by internal growth, on cross-business fits? Based on the individual diversification strategies of the three companies, is the successful pursuit of growth by a single form of related diversification likely to lead to a sustainable competitive advantage? How is the scale and scope of the strategic fits present in these companies related to their success in their markets? From strategic fit to competitive advantage, added profitability and gains in shareholder value. Capturing the cross-business strategic fit benefits of related diversification. It builds more shareholder value than owning a stock portfolio, only possible via a strategy of related diversification, and yields value is the application of specialized resource and capabilities. It requires that management take internal actions to realize them. What are the effects of cross-business fit? Well, Fit builds more value than owning a stock portfolio of firms in different industries. Strategic fit benefits are possible only via related diversification. The stronger the fit, the greater its effect on the firm's competitive advantage. Fit fosters the spreading of competitively valuable resources and capabilities specialized to certain applications and that have value only in specific types of industries and businesses. Illustration Capsule 8.2, the Kraft-Heinz merger, managerial missteps in capturing cross-business strategic fit. Why did Kraft choose to seek a merger with Heinz rather than starting its own food products subsidiary? What are the anticipated results of the merger? To what extent is decentralization required when seeking cross-business strategic fit? What should Kraft Heinz do to ensure the continued success of its related diversification strategy? Diversification into unrelated businesses, evaluating the acquisition of a new business or the divestiture of an existing business. Can it meet corporate targets for profitability and ROI? Is it an industry which has attractive profit and growth potential? Is it big enough to contribute significantly to the parent firm's bottom line? All questions that must be asked and analyzed. How do you build shareholder value via unrelated diversification? Type: astute corporate parenting by management. What are the details? Provide leadership, oversight, expertise, and guidance. Provide generalized or parenting resources that lower operating costs and increase SBU efficiency. What about cross-business allocation of financial resources? It serves as an internal capital market. Allocate surplus cash flows from businesses to fund the capital requirements of other businesses. Acquiring and restructuring undervalued companies. Acquire weakly performing firms at bargain prices. Use turnaround capabilities to restructure, then to increase their performance and profitability. Okay, here we go. The path to greater shareholder value through unrelated diversification. The attractiveness test, cost of entry test, the better off test. Actions taken by upper management to create value and gain a parenting advantage. Diversify into businesses that can produce consistently good earnings and returns on investment. Negotiate favorable acquisition prices. And lastly, provide managerial oversight and resource sharing, financial resource allocation, and portfolio management, and restrict underperforming businesses. The drawbacks of unrelated diversification. What do they include? Demanding managerial requirements, limited competitive advantage potential, monitoring and maintaining the parenting advantage, and the lack of cross-business strategy benefits. Misguided reasons for pursuing unrelated diversification. Poor rationales for unrelated diversification. Seeking a reduction of business investment risk, pursuing rapid or continuous growth for its own sake, seeking stabilization of earnings to avoid cyclical swings in business, and pursuing personal managerial skills. We're going to stop right here, and this will be part one of this chapter, and you can look for part two shortly. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.